If you were sort of talking to your younger self before you got that first crack, would there be any workshops or books or courses or any activities that you wish you were equipped with before getting into that full-time role?
Like I say, it was probably coming out of undergrad that all sort of kicked off. So I probably, some of this stuff would have gone over my head initially, but some of the stuff that I've just been able to sort of pluck and take away, a lot of my learning and experience so far has been peer-to-peer and experiencing a lot of the coaches that I've worked with. But I have taken a lot out of some of the ASCA conferences, for example, that they put on. There's always terrific speakers there. So if you're currently studying at uni and trying to sort of find your way in this field, you can, always get your level 1 and get involved to make sure that you sort of try and get across to those when they're back on in person, and you can sort of network and meet some really good people. Like I say, a lot of my sort of learning has happened peer-to-peer, and there's some good online resources out there as well if you know sort of who to look for. I know that I got a lot of value in my early years out of a couple of the ALTIS courses that I sort of make sure that I picked up.
Why is the on-field performance and intensity the number one focus compared to some other things?
Well, like the strength stuff, obviously people say that speed kills and that your ability to sort of absorb and deliver contact and that kind of thing is sort of the moments that breaks the game, which I think is self-evident. I think we all know that we need to be strong and powerful in collision and contact sports, particularly like football. But ultimately, depending on the season and the competition that you're playing in, from anywhere from sort of 12 to 24 times a year, you've got to go out there and run fast, change direction, cover ground, and you'll hear coaches talk about it all the time, the ability to spread and cover off on defense and all those sorts of things are what makes a difference to the team and to the team's performance. And if you want to do that and you want to do that at a really, really high level for your team.
What would be some important things for footballers, men and women, to be doing at this time of year to prepare for the game?
At this time of year, if you're just getting underway, so I'd imagine a lot of footballers have probably taken the last few weeks off, depending on how far their team went in finals, maybe sort of underway. But let's say you're just sort of getting yourself started again. Initially, just as we always say, build your on-field loads responsibly and make sure that you sort of slowly increase the amount that you're running each session and slowly expose yourself to a little bit more high speed and change your direction. But as you get your feet under you, hopefully, you can sort of jump onto a resource like Prepare Like a Pro and have all of this provided to you. But if you don't at this point in time, just make sure that once you've got your legs under you and you've built your loads responsibly, you're changing direction with the intensity that you would at a high intensity moment of a game, and that you're exposing yourself to enough sprinting that you feel like you've covered as much ground running fast as you would in a game, perhaps even more, and put yourself in the shoes of the worst case scenario you can think of in a game where you have to transition fast and then change direction and then do it all again.
If we move on to the gym side of things, what for those that are maybe following what their brother does or they're following what their sister does because they're a bit older, how should a footballer be doing their weight sessions? What are some sort of key pillars in the strength room? Look at?
Well, so what we've just already covered is that we know that with football, you're going to be running a lot, you're going to be running fast a lot, and you're going to be changing direction a lot. So to firstly cover off on that stuff, you need to make sure you've got really strong hips, glutes, and hamstrings, basically. So you'll notice a lot of footballers' programs and they've got a lot of what we call posterior chain work. So sort of everything from your heels up to your glutes, and that includes obviously your calves and your hamstrings and everything in there. And it needs to be trained in a way that you sort of making sure that you're protecting yourself and preparing yourself for that sort of volume of high-speed running. Then what we want to do is make sure that you get really nice and strong so that you're prepared to not just tolerate that amount of change of direction, but really thrive in those environments.
What makes you angry? What are your pet peeves?
This is easy. An untidy gym. And that whether that's working with professional footballers or somebody not re-racking their weights at the local Good Life, that's terrible. That's frustrating. The other one is cones not in alignment. If you're lucky enough to be working somewhere with striped grass and well mown and maintained turf, there is no excuse for skew with cones and cones to be out of alignment. It drives me insane. And probably the last one, which is a little bit unfair because I know that I'm good at it and not everybody is, but unneat handwriting on a whiteboard drives me a little bit crazy too.
What are the major differences for preparing an AFLW athlete compared to an AFL athlete?
Well, once you establish a baseline level of training and training age for the sport as well as stuff in the gym, it's probably not too different. I mean, you can talk about the gender differences associated with training and the difference in the movement output from female to male footy, but realistically, the game is really similar. And like I said before, you still got to run fast a lot and change direction while you're doing it and train and prepare for that. I think what we probably found in the first few years of the AFLW was you just had this crazy mix of girls that had played 10 years of park footy out at Morphettville Park, and then the rest of your list was made up with professional sportswomen, Olympians from other walks of life, and it was this really eclectic mix of people with different backgrounds and experience, and that was awesome, and it was what the competition needed to get off the ground. And what we're probably seeing now is a little bit more similar to what you would get with the men's program, where you're getting girls come through at